It is my pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker. He is a professional speaker, executive coach, and author based in the Central Valley, and a master facilitator and coach for powerspeaking.com. David is a 30-year marketing veteran, talk show host, and digital marketing expert. He is also an avid endurance athlete who believes that most people are far from reaching their limit of what's possible. We all know that donations are critical for charitable organizations to fulfill their missions. But what do you do when potential donors do not respond? In this 20-minute talk, the right kind of crazy, fundraising in the era of social media, David will reveal tips and techniques that helped him raise over $150,000 for the multiple myeloma Research Foundation over the last 9 years. Please join me in welcoming David Jones.
Service above self is something I've been living for the last 10 years. So I'm honored to speak with Rotarians. I've spoken with the Tracy Sunrise Rotary a few times. And usually the topic is how to be a better public speaker. Some of you already know me from Toastmasters and speaking in different groups around town. Anybody here ever see me speak or a video of me speaking? Where did you see it?
The Women's Council, I think?
The Women's Council of Realtors, yes.
Yes.
And do you remember the topic?
You know what? It's been like over a year.
That's how good I am. She doesn't remember what I talked about. Yeah, we talked about connecting with clients, we talked about video marketing, and all those subjects. But Mary Lou and I met at one of those events, and she says, I would love to have you come speak at the Rotary. What topic? And she goes, why not about giving and serving, and something that relates to that, which is something I've been living but not speaking about. So this is the first time I'm talking to you about something that's been probably the most important thing in my life, next to my wife, for the last 10 years. And it's fundraising. Fundraising specifically for the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation, which develops technologies and processes that help all cancers. But my brother Jeff is a survivor, which is why I picked that particular one. So tonight, I thought, why not share all the things that we learned along the way? Some things we learned the hard way. Some things I just got the advice from others who were better at it than I was. I want to share that with you tonight in the next 20 minutes or so. If you have a question that just is burning to ask, just pop your hand up and feel free to interrupt me that way. So first, I want to hear from a couple of you on what kind of fundraising you are doing, other than your crab feed, and this event coming up, right? You have an event in May.
Right.
And you're trying to get sponsors.
Right.
Anybody else have a project you just done fundraising for?
My wife really ran it, but I would help with the feral cat rescue in Mountains.
Nice.
For fundraising to keep that alive.
Is that in association with a shelter, or
No,
it's an independent
it
group?
was just people living here came together and put it together and became a 501c3, and we do
Wow.
work with the CSD as far as trapping and neutering and returning
Wow.
cats and
Awesome.
all of that.
And you ask people for money?
Yeah, and she did a good job for several years with an auction and silent auction and raffle prizes, so she was hitting people up for money all over the place. She's kind of done with that now, because it's difficult.
Yes, it is.
It's a
We'll
lot
cover
of
that in a moment. What have you had to raise money for?
Oh, yeah, we did. Kind of like an event also.
Mm-hmm. What was the cause?
We're sending missionaries.
Missionaries. Also, with your church? Raising money specifically
Yeah,
to send?
especially to bring the youth out of the country so that they can explore and teach them how, to
Great.
do mission work.
Have you had to ask for money personally? Were you the
Well, we kind of like, just like the Rotary, we had some baskets, giveaways, like tickets to share,
Mhm.
to sell, not really asking for money.
Well, you are indirectly.
Indirectly,
Right.
like exchanging goods.
Yes. Somebody else up here? Yeah,
I
there I.
have, yeah,
Yes.
my daughter's school, high school in Stockton. It was the first of its kind for Stockton Unified, and so I did a lot of,
Mhm.
business to business, begging for things, and I got them. So
Mhm.
money, items for baskets,
It's hard, and time consuming.
It can be, it's time consuming more than anything, yeah.
And how many of you use social media in some aspect of your fundraising? Everyone? Anybody not try it out? Not using Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, name the latest one that's popped up that the kids are using because their parents are on the other one. Well, I discovered social media about
TikTok.
10 years ago. TikTok's the new one, yes, and there'll be another
I
one.
don't even know what that is. but-
TikTok is little brief, like lip sync videos. You play a song and do some kind of weird act thing, whatever, and
Really?
post it.
That's it,
Oh, really?
Not unlike the Vine that you remember came out with, the
Oh,
video had to be
kids
7
do that,
seconds.
right,
It's a
right.
little bit longer, but,
Developed by 2 young students.
yeah. So you're surrounded by students, you probably hear about it all the time, right?
I watch it, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Absolutely, there's some great stuff.
Awesome. So what I'm gonna cover tonight, I'm gonna give you some big ideas. I think fundraising is so hard, especially if you do it over a sustained period of time for the same cause. Like, hey, you gave gift baskets last year, I'm coming at you again, can you do it again this year?
Yeah,
And they're like, oh, I kinda did my part. Oh, Jane, did you have a,
you got 5.
okay, thank you. And Jane's involved with Golden State German Shepherd Rescue.
Oh, I love that.
And we rescue German Shepherds from shelters all over Northern California, and that's one of our causes that we raise money for. The right kind of crazy. You can't just do run-of-the-mill fundraising anymore, because there's so much going on, so many websites, so much stuff that people are scrolling through and reading through, and all kind of looks the same. What I'm going to talk to you tonight about is how to stand out. And the first thing comes before you ever ask for money. You have to nurture your network constantly, right? And I love this image because I have circles of friends. I have like the family and the really close friends, and then I have kind of like the work friends, and then I have the people I used to go to school with, and you have people I've never met, but they're on Facebook, and these concentric circles of communities that you belong to, whether it's Rotary, Toastmasters, Dog Rescue, right? You have friends and people that share information in those. And if you're nurturing those communities all the time, then when it comes time to ask for money, it's a little different than the person who just suddenly
Just
puts up a GoFundMe site and says, I want money! Who wants to give me money? It's like, who are you? Right? So anybody here follow me on Facebook?
Not yet.
Yeah.
You do? Yes?
I do.
Yes, what is your name?
Christina Kitchen.
Christina Kitchen, yes. So where did we meet?
I don't think we've done them yet. No,
Wow, how can we be friends then?
because you're friends with my friends.
Wow, what a concept! So you're here, connected to someone over here, and we connected. And how would you describe what kind of stuff I do on Facebook? Be honest.
I don't know.
Okay, good. So she doesn't check it often enough to see it pop up in her feed. Mary Lou, do you see things that I post?
Yeah, I see a lot of your videos.
Yeah? How would you describe what I'm doing?
I watch the ones that are mostly business coaching
Mm-hmm.
that you do that help me and my business.
So way back 10, 11 years ago, I decided to just start helping people in Facebook. That was one. Some of it's helping myself, but humor, inspiration, dog pictures, and hey, I'm doing this fundraiser. You want to get some money? Back to the humor, fundraiser. You know, here's a thing I did at work. You know, but every day, every single day, I post something. It hits me either as funny, emotional, important, and just keep putting it out there. And I know social media has a real dark side. And a lot of people have abandoned them because of all of the bad stuff and the arguing and the fighting and evil. But I go into Facebook and look for the good and look for the best in people and reach out and try to help and be a light in the darkness. So that's what I mean by nurture your networks. I won't go any deeper than that, but look at Facebook, Instagram. LinkedIn has now become a lot like those other social networks. It's not just a career site anymore, so take a look at that one as well. And so if you are nurturing your network, then when you post a story that's meant to help you with fundraising, you need something that's going to stand out. This little doggy's name is Bailey. You're looking at the after picture. He had surgery to have one of his eyes removed. When they found him at the shelter, he had been kicked or something at a bulging eye. The dog was injured, obviously not doing well. Our rescue took him from the shelter, and because the shelter didn't have the resources to pay for this surgery to get his eye removed so he could heal, someone set up a GoFundMe page. How much money do you think we raised in 3 days for little baby?
$30,000.
$3,500 in 3 days.
Wow.
Why?
Cause he's so cute.
Because of her face. Look at her right there. Oh, exactly. This is an emotional story. And it also had a sense of urgency about it. And guess what? The animal rescue people have probably got one of the most nurtured networks you've ever seen. You know, they are passionate about rescuing dogs, cats.
Yeah, we've had similar experiences with cats.
Oh yeah, you put the word out, this cat needs help, and suddenly it's not just people giving money, but they share it. And that's one of the biggest bits of advice I'll give you, is instead of even just asking directly for money, you say, would you share this? And she goes, sure, I'll share it, but look at his face, I'm gonna use $25 there, right? And you get that indirect, it's a little different way, an indirect way to ask. So Balin's a good example of the emotional story. I'm gonna give you some different types of stories, some from my own life, that I want you to think about when you're gonna raise money for the crab feed, or for whatever. Is there an emotional story or a different twist on it that you could give that might grab people's attention in this sea of info? This is me, this is my brother Brad, and this is my brother Jeff. So 10 years ago, coming up this June, Jeff was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. And I'm gonna make a long story short, he told the doctor, I don't wanna sit around, I wanna run again. And the doctor told him it was crazy, but he signed up for Chicago Marathon. Brad and I joined in with him, and all three of us completed the Chicago Marathon while he was still on chemo.
Wow.
So this story was a little different. Lots of people do races. I heard somebody else said run the 5K and those races by themselves. Because this is three brothers helping each other, we got extra publicity. You can imagine, right? Oh, brotherly love. I see the circle of inspiration. There's a lot of other things about the story, and I wrote about it in a blog, posted videos. Video is extremely important now. But this story's now been running for 9 years. We've been doing events. We've done 4 marathons. I'll get to that in just a second. But we've raised, in total, $150,000 through all these events. And Jeff's been a part of every single one. So,
That you?
the 3rd year that we started to raise money, people started getting tired. Such a thing as donor fatigue. Oh, okay, it's a great story, but I gave you that one last year, so good for you, good luck, but I already gave. And I was struggling to get the money. It was for a New York Marathon. And I had a minimum. I signed up. I have to raise $5,000 to be able to run the race for the charity. I was on Facebook one night. I was all frustrated. I said, okay, just as a joke, if I can get $3,000 by Friday, I'll roller skate across town in SpongeBob boxer shorts. I'll go all the way to Tracy Mall and back. And then people started to comment. Will you really? Are you really going to do this? Are you going to do this? Here's some money. Here's some money. Here's some money. Somebody said, I'll give you $500 if you wear a red cape.
Oh.
Sold. By Friday, I had $3,200. So I had to deliver on the dare, right? So this is, I don't call it Skate Man. This is out by Patterson Pass, by the way. 2 years later, I actually roller skated up Patterson Pass as well to do another race. But the first one was just skating across Tracy. And I think why people, this is Glenn Moore's photo, by the way. So Tracy Press came out, he heard about it from somebody on Facebook. Said, you gotta talk to this guy, he's crazy. And he came out and took the photos, printed the story. And somebody wrote in the comments on the story, said, we don't see this kind of stuff in Tracy that often. But if David Goat is crazy, it's the right kind of crazy. And that's what stuck, and I love that, because that's really a theme of the way I've been able to stand out and do things, all for my brother. None of this is for me. Jeff loves it. He gets a kick out of it. People share the story, and to this day, people say, remember you did that thing with the red cape, and you're Patterson Pass? You guys have driven on Patterson Pass, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's insane to do that on Patterson Pass.
He was insane. I had
The right kind of crazy.
The right kind of crazy. I had an escort, and it was all safe. But so this stunt, right? It was on a dare. And there's lots of social media challenges and dares and things that you see now that are unsafe. But if you think of something crazy, and someone in your organization is willing to do something a little out there, it'll stand out. And people stop scrolling like, ooh, what is that? So along this 10-year journey, when I kept trying to top myself and make more and more news, I was joking with Jeff about, well, what's bigger than a marathon? He's like an Ironman. And I said, ooh, I'll do an Ironman. And Jeff laughed at me. Because, okay, I was never the athletic brother. I was like the one who studied and showed up at school. Jeff was the athlete. And for his unathletic little brother to sign up for a full Ironman, train for 6 months, and actually finish, seemed impossible. And that was the story. This was an impossible story. And a lot of people, if you ask them if they think they could ever finish one of these, they say, no way, man. But I did. As you can see, I showed up at 11 o'clock, quarter after 11 that night. It took me 15 hours to finish. I had raised, I think, $8,000 or $9,000 on this particular campaign, but that's the story. They let Jeff out on the track to put the medal around my neck when I showed up at the finish line. And I still, to this day, I get choked up telling the story. And this is the kind of story, if you want to go there, or some of your organizations are willing to do this. This is like the Guinness World Record, you know, something that's like so big that people will talk about it. And the gentleman right here, who's a newspaper man, he wants stuff that's newsworthy, a little bit different. You want to stand out. And then there was the dream story. This fits with like Make-A-Wish Foundation, right? Children that may not have long to live, but my wish is to go to Disneyland. People raise money for that. Jeff always dreamed of finishing the Boston Marathon. And so we kind of changed the story. And the reason we evolved along the way is because our donors were getting tired and we had to find new people and share a slightly different story. And Jeff fulfilled his dream of finishing Boston Marathon. This was just 2 years ago. And I can't emphasize enough the value of video. Even this is just a Zoom meeting. I turned it on to Jeff, let me interview you and post a video. And the donations come rolling in because you can write, you can take pictures, but if they can see you and feel your passion and enthusiasm behind the story, they're kind of assessing and judging whether it's true and how authentic are you really in this request. And I've also seen GoFundMe's like, hey, I need new dorm room furniture. Who wants to give me money? Really? That's a GoFundMe page? Yes. So think about video, and if you aren't comfortable doing video, find a coach. Get some of your kids that love to do it, right? Turn on the camera, do the editing, do all that stuff for you. But you tell the story in your own words, and you'd be amazed. Also in social media, especially LinkedIn, you get 10 times the visibility if you post a native video versus a photo. So the algorithm rewards you, and everybody's feed gets visibility to what you're trying to do. So you mentioned events tonight, and this is another one that's even further, way beyond anything I was ever able to do, or Jeff was. This is Eric Gelber. This is me, right behind him, with my phone up in the air, running behind him. He ran 200 miles in one weekend around Central Park. And here's a couple things I wanted to point out about this. And I won't tell you the whole story. There's a movie. I'll be happy to send you a link to his movie. Eric raised over $1 million. How did he do it? He picked an event in a place where the media was there and where people could join in. So whatever event you do, if your volunteers can be part of the show, not just the work, but fun stuff, everything in between. And so around Central Park, he had people coming out to run with him. And Jeff and I went out to run with him for part. I only did 36 miles in 2 days.
Wow.
He did 200. And I'm running along, I'm like, hey, who's the long-haired guy over here? Oh, that's the CEO of T-Mobile. That's John Legere. He just gave $20,000 for. Oh, nice. So we had this sponsors kind of falling over each other to get involved with this event because he was doing such a big thing. But again, location of the event means a lot. And you're all thinking, okay, I'm not going to run a marathon, but I know you can all dump a bucket of ice water on your head, right? Who remembers the ice bucket
That
challenge?
was a big thing.
How big was it? Yeah.
Marathon.
They raised $115 million. And it got so big, this is Bill Gates, did a video and challenged Elon Musk, the guy who runs TED, and Ryan Seacrest to do the Ice Bucket Challenge in his video. I'm like, okay, this is the biggest I've ever seen any fundraising thing. And it started with such a goofy idea. Why did this work? It's not in your head. Why do you think it works so well?
Because people were doing something outrageously uncomfortable to drop an ice bucket on their head.
But it's doable.
Right.
Not
It's
necessarily
something
gonna
anybody
hurt
could-
you.
And you see somebody do it, and you kinda think, well, I could do that.
Yeah, exactly. And it was about calling people out. So if you remember the dare, it was
Yeah.
pour a bucket of water, give to MLS, or pour a bucket of water on your head, and then challenge 3 friends. That was the rules of the game. So think about maybe making up a game that goes with your event or your cause. Ask the kids. They're already eating Tide Pods and cinnamon and stuff, right? So
Makes sense.
ask them to do something safe, but a speak-a-thon set a world record for the longest speech. I mean, something that's, whoa, I wonder if that's possible. I'm gonna go watch that. That's cool. I'm gonna go to the event. Hey, be part of the event. All right, so you're thinking about things that'll will draw that kind of attention. And this was a story that stood out. And finally, this is like after the story, after the money's come in, and this is a step that I did every year that I think really made a difference. I acknowledged personally every single person who gave, from $1 to $5,000, whatever they gave. And it wasn't like, hey, thanks everyone for giving all the money, we made our goal. It's like, Mary Lou, I want to tell you, I appreciate you. I know you've given 3 times now. It makes a big difference. Thank you. Considering coming out to run with us next time. I literally wrote an individual private message to every single donor. And that's a hard step. That's like writing, you know, the thank you cards, right? Handwritten, mailed thank you cards. And they remember that. They'll remember it the next time around. And a lot of causes depend on repeat donors, right? So always acknowledge and personalize them, your gratitude. So another kind of, this is a creative idea, I don't know if it might apply to you or not, is I wrote a blog during those early days of running with Jeff, and the blog started to get more popular, and eventually became a book. I looked up after 6-7 years, and I had 300 blog posts, and I went through and just picked the best ones and assembled it in a book, self-published it, and decided I was going to donate all the proceeds of that to MMRF. And it's still available to this day. If you want to go check it out. I did not bring any copies, sorry. I brought some to pass out to everyone. But the other idea that Jeff and I came up with that was creative is we decided if any corporate sponsor is going to give $4,000 or more, Jeff and I would come and do a keynote speech for the people. So for Boston Marathon, we ended up with 2 of those. So $8,000 from 2 donors. That's a lot of asking individuals for $25, right? So the comparison would be instead of casting a wide net out in the ocean and getting lots of little donations, this was like spearfishing. I'm going to chase down the big whales, try to get them to line up. You just need a few big ones to do that. Some of you look tired just even hearing me talk about all this stuff, right? It doesn't have to be a huge personal commitment or some physical endurance event. But think about the idea that's a little bit outside of the box. Something that nobody else has done. Maybe even your approach is just a slight twist on it. But you've got to nurture your network all the time. You've got to tell a story that stands out. Rally people around an event where they can participate and have fun. And don't forget to thank each and every person for their part. And I want to thank you, and 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 you, especially you, Jane, and you, and you, and you, and you, for inviting me here tonight. And if you have any time, I'm happy to take questions, or I'll stay after the meeting, and I appreciate your attention.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have a question?
Yes.
From the perspective of the donor, do you find that they all have the same need that needs to be filled, or is it individual according to the organization or according to the person?
I mean, the motivation for people to
Yeah,
give? It's different for every person, but I would say it falls into the buckets of people that know you right? There's a personal relationship before, that's a different level, like someone in your family, almost like, I have to give. You're in the family, and, oh, look, everybody else in the family is giving. There's a little bit of guilt and peer pressure too sometimes in that. But other people are they see even a single photo, like that little dog with the bulging eye, that was enough. Oh, what can I do to help? Right, so you hit an emotional chord with someone, and that story relates to their life in some way. I've seen a lot of that too. People say, hey, my uncle died of multiple myeloma, so I'm gonna give $500 and you guys go get him. I don't know if that answers your question. I think when you make the appeal in your invitation to give, always do it like, can you share this story? Don't ask directly for money. Just say, please share this, and then along the way they'll give. It's like when you're looking for a job, you say, hey, do you know anybody who's looking for an IT programmer? You don't come say, can you hire me as an IT programmer? It's a different question. And they may say, well, as a matter of fact, we have an opportunity here. Thanks for asking for me. Yeah, another question? Somebody had their hand up.
I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
Do you have this presentation online or?
Yep, I will. Jane just recorded it, so I'll post it on YouTube, and I'll make it a public link, and you can share it with anybody that you like.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I do coaching, mostly on public speaking coaching for people, but I get invited in as a marketing expert too, and I give my time to causes outside of dog rescue, and then if people come and ask me for help, they try to. So if you're thinking about something and want some just creative input, I'm happy to help you.
Thank you.
McCoy.
I guess I would ask how to balance interests. Like, I'm thinking about my own life, and connectivity is like my passion point, right? Like if I meet you, I want to do this, but how do you not feel like you're tapping every centric circle dry? Like I have my speech team that I'm doing, but my own nephew is 8 and dying of cancer, and so like he's in stage 4, and so like I don't want to keep posting to all the things that we're involved in, because I feel like I'm tapping everybody out all of the time. And like when you have something like a closed group like Mountain House, like I just want to keep that with a speech team, but all of the causes are valid and all of the causes are yours. So how do you filter when and where?
Well, one way to overcome that, it's hard,
Yeah,
right?
that's why I'm
Because people
asking.
will get fatigued. I witness it right now. It is so hard to get people to give money. We're still doing events. Last year, Jeff and Brad and I rode 300 miles from Vermont up to Quebec, and we raised our minimum $15,000, but it wasn't the old $30,000 or $40,000 we used to get. So people will get tired, but think about something of value you can give back, even if it's a little gimmicky thing. One time we had these little like bike chain bracelets, and people gave $20, you got a free bracelet. It was symbolic, and you're part of the team now, Or if your students, for example, are willing to do something, our student will come and give a keynote speech or lead a panel discussion at your business. Okay, that's a different, so if I give, I want to give, but I'll also get this other benefit. The people in the company, I'll get some visibility and recognition for it. A lot of big companies, the big company sponsors, they don't expect anything like that. They'll pick a few big charities, like, Water for Villages in Africa, and, helping underprivileged students. They'll pick some big ones, and they put all their big money behind it, but they still will entertain smaller things that have some kind of a turnaround, I say something, a connectivity opportunity. Maybe it's an event, lunch and learn, some kind of a thing like that. That helps.
Yeah, it does. It does. I'm just processing like all of it.
The other thing is to set up the levels. You guys have all seen this. You can be bronze, silver, gold level, platinum,
PBS, right?
But what goes with that, I think the people that end up giving the most, they like the VIP treatment.
Yeah.
So if you have an event, you reserve the front row for them. That front row is more important than the difference between $2,500 and $5,000. They go, ooh, I want to be recognized. Great, that's another motivation. So people do like, hey, I'm the queen of the dog rescue. I want everybody to know that. It's her identity. She's retired, and I'm not talking about Jane. But I am talking about a real person, and is so tied in with their identity. Go ahead and feed that. Say, great, I'm going to make you even more the queen, and I'm going to, give you some exposure and publicity. So I want to ask the newspaper man here. what gets your attention in a story like this? What do you think pops up for you that makes you like, hey, ooh, that one's worth covering? Because there's so many events you could cover.
Yeah.
Which ones stand out to you?
Typically ones that grab the heartstrings, I guess. And a story like your brother would definitely do that. When there is something that somebody's going through something, a struggle, or an event in their life that's overwhelming. There was a family in town a year or so ago that the lady had quintuplets. And they already had 3 kids, I think. Something like that. 5, I think she had
Yeah.
5 babies. And they didn't really have the capacity to deal with it, and so people wanted to do something to help. So to run a story on that is a way for me to be able to kind of get back and be able to help put the word out there. And, you know,
And when they run those big stories, especially the national ones, they get diapers donated, they get, I mean, big sponsors, companies join in. When there's a train moving, everybody wants to jump on for that
Yeah.
train.
Yeah, and they got some local TV coverage and stuff out of it too, and you know, way beyond what I could do. So, you know, but to be able to do something along those lines to help is good.
I'll give you one more thing that works, and somebody mentioned they were at their church. There's lots of generous people in churches usually, churches, synagogues, mosques, whatever. And if you have an event like that where it's a ticket to come in, like say it's crab feed and it's $25. Most people are like, yeah, I like crab, $25, it's kind of expensive dinner, but it's for good cause. Maybe. But if you have a story behind that, you like really bring that story to life. This is to help for the sports teams, right? Show us the picture of the sports team. Show us the kids' faces. This is Billy. This is, you know, Jane, the volleyball champion. You know, tell a little miniature story on each one of them, because there you get the heartstrings. There's a face behind it.
Right.
Yeah,
Not just, it's good for sports teams. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of generic and whatever.
yeah.
But meet Billy. He wants to go to the state championship. They're good enough, but they don't have the equipment.
Mhm.
We got it
Well,
right.
that's where you pull in the actual need for, they need equipment.
Yeah.
For the band, they need equipment and, you know.
And to where I was going with that is if you have an event that you're selling tickets for, and some people are happy, the first ones to buy the tickets, also make it available for them to sponsor somebody else. If you can pay, like we do this at our church for band camp every year. We know there's guys who can't afford like $120 to go away for the weekend. So the first ones who pay, hey, can you sponsor another guy? Someone who's under financial hardship. And he just had to ask, and I wrote another check. I was like, give it to the first one that asked. Yeah, that's great. I would love to help. But if he didn't ask, I would never have thought of it. But I just really just putting it out there and say, we have 10 people that want to come to this, and we're looking for people to sponsor that. And people